results chain that we set out to achieve. So the first feature of making public sector management results oriented was to state that each individual function must be results oriented in itself. The second feature identified the fact that these functions don't operate in isolation. If you plan, but you don't have the resources to implement the plan, then it's an unimplementable plan. Similarly, if you're budgeting and allocating inputs to outputs, and if the outputs don't come out of a planning function, then the budgeting process has no direction. So there's an interrelationship that we need to understand between these functions. Likewise, when you're looking at once the budget is established, the implementation process should look to deliver on the outputs and the targets that were established out of the planning and budgeting process. The monitoring process must be linked to implementation in order for us to understand how the implementation is going and whether or not we have delivered on the outputs and the outcomes. And of course, the monitoring has to feed into evaluation, and as I mentioned before, the evaluation feeds back into policy making. So the second dimension was emphasizing that when these functions are performed, we have to recognize the interdependency. And this is quite important because when we are looking at strengthening particular functions in the government, no one particular function can be strengthened really in isolation of the other. And it re-emphasizes the fact that all 5 functions must develop in a coordinated manner together. The third dimension was really to re-emphasize the focus on national results. Because in a lot of the countries, when the discussion took place, it could be that the Ministry of Planning is focused on results-orientated, it could be the line ministries are results-orientated, it could be the national government is results-orientated, and so is the subnational government, but it may not be focused on the same results. So if we're talking about that the whole purpose of this is for national development effectiveness, then it must be focused on the same common results. And the final aspect was to re-emphasize the importance of the integration between national and subnational level and national and sector. So if I was to just to re-emphasize the point again, that we started off with looking at management and its 5 core functions, and what managing for development results and its emphasis on results-based public sector management said that, well, you need to have each of these functions results-orientated. We need to have a focus on common results. We need to recognize the interdependency and the horizontal and vertical integration. And what it then says that if management or public sector management exhibits those 4 features, then we have an opportunity to make informed decisions and continuous learning. And this forms the basis of what APCOP discussions that we have, because we're looking at all the various challenges and how, in order to be able to deliver on these 4 features. And this is, I want to emphasize that this is not a theoretical exercise that came about. This was an evolving framework over 2 years that came out of discussion with members at various country levels. And in a sense, the 4 features are a reflection of the challenges that countries face. And therefore, what the framework did was to re-emphasize and turn those challenges into principles that result-based, that public sector management must exhibit in order to be results-based.